The Philippine government is the largest single employer of over 2 million public sector workers, over 600,000 of which are contractual workers. Public sector workers are the lifeblood of public service and the key to the fulfillment of the country's national development goals, which is the very essence of the government's existence. Article 2 of the 1987 Constitution, under state policy, says, "The state affirms labor as a primary social-economic force. It shall protect the rights of workers and promote their welfare." Given this huge number of workers and the complicated system of public service employment, the government is unable to completely attain its constitutional mandate to protect their employees. There is a big disparity between private sector and public sector workers as far as labor rights are concerned. The latter have inadequate space to exercise their inherent rights. In the minds of most rank-and-file public service workers, they are powerless against workplace challenges. Low salary, less benefits, no security of tenure, overwhelming workload and work hours, unfair treatment by superiors are just a few of their woes.
Sa amin, sa private sector, meron tayong tinatawag na labor code. At least itong public service convention nito, ang specifics nito, particularly mag-cater dun sa public sector workers. So mahalaga ito para naman you could negotiate the political, the social and economic benefits of the workers. In public sector, you could not negotiate salaries and wages. It's all done through Congress o legislation. Example, salary standardization law. Ang aim namin noon, kailangan ma-attain nyo yung tinatawag na collective bargaining rights, na yung tinatawag naman namin na collective bargaining agreement. Sa ngayon kasi ang gobyerno, nagbabase lang sila sa CNA, Collective Negotiation Agreement, wherein magtitipid ka para kapag may matira, yun ang ibibigay na benepisyo. Mas magandang kung mabigyan sila ng karapatan, magkaroon ng batas na exclusive para sa kanila, makakapag-freely bargaining na ang mga nasa public sector workers.
Organizing unions in the Philippines is not easy. It is even more challenging to organize public sector workers. Trade unionism among unorganized workers, both in private and public sectors, seem to be not a priority to them, unless strong and credible workers' groups are able to convince them to join unions. In 2009, a group of public and private sector unionists involved in a project of the Public Services International, or PSI, called Trade Union Rights, or TUR, thought of a possibility to help improve the plight of public sector workers whose mixed life stories have a common sad ending. The group, headed by Mr. Glenn Pastorfide, the Vice President of the Philippine Government Employees Association, or PGEA, envisioned a plan that would lead to the ratification of ILO Convention 151, otherwise known as Labor Relations Convention of 1978. This is the story of those trade unionists who made the ratification drive their calling card as they passionately went through the 7-year journey.
On the issue on the collective bargaining or the collective negotiation in the Philippines, I was challenged, saying of the unionists in the private sector, that the unionism in the public sector is just a joke. In the public sector, we don't have the right to strike, not like the private sector. In our bargaining agreement, we cannot talk about the salaries or wages of our workers. And most of the items or the bargaining issues in the public sector is already in a law. We can talk about the number of leaves we can take, but not on the issue like the wages.
The idea to ratify C-151 started during a workshop in Yogyakarta, Indonesia in 2009, where a group of PSI affiliates from the Philippines attended. aware of the chronic difficulties in the life of public sector workers, along with systemic failings of the bureaucracy, to even glance at their faces, especially those years-long contractual, casual, and job order workers. The group convinced themselves to be C151 champions when they got back to the Philippines.
Napag-isipan namin na mag-usap-usap kami sa PSI Trade Union Rights, yung grupo dito sa Pilipinas, na magka-campaign around the region. So, naggawa ng resolution na ika-campaign ito around Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao. So, nag-prepare si Brother Ray Pumar, yung residente ng Maynilad Supervisors Union. Nag-prepare siya ng joint resolution to ng grupo na dadalhin namin pag-kampanya. Parang as part of the advocacy for workers, particularly for the public sector. Dahil nga ito'y public service convention nga ito.
Huge undertaking like a ratification drive is a demanding task. It needs diligence and determination on the part of the leaders. They were faced with multiple challenges, having to tread an unknown pathway, not knowing where and how to start and whom to seek help from. Armed only with determination to succeed, the group laid on strategies they believed they needed. Like other labor conventions, C151 was not easy to understand.
Una, pinag-aralan namin ano mga ba itong ILO Convention 151. At nag-invite kami from the ILO, ipaliwanag sa amin ano nga ba yung Convention 151. Although pinag-aaral, nag-research na nga ako, itong international treaty na ito ay hindi pa nararatify ng aming gobyerno. Ang purpose ko ron, para nang sa ganon, ma-institutionalize namin yung collective negotiation ng manggagawa.
Nagkampanya tayo, awareness to ratify ILO 151. We go around Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao para magkaroon ng awareness yung both public and private workers. So yun ang dinala namin. Ang kagandahan nito, nag-usap-usap kami, pwede ba tayong sumulat sa Senado na? Yan. Yun yung unang ginawa namin. So kailangan natin matouch base, hindi lang PSI affiliate, even non-affiliates, para lumakas. Lumakas yung kamalayan na meron palang convention na ganito which caters to public sector workers.
Humility, consistency, confidence are attributes of a strong leadership needed in a campaign like this. The leadership was not held by just one person. The position of coordinator was rotated among leaders. Responsibilities and tasks were shared among members and officers as well. The group realized that unity, among other things, was paramount.
Ibig sabihin, yung isang national coordinator, siya yung mag-o-oversee lahat. Siya yung magiging guide sa mga leaders. Yung other 8 members o 8 representative, nandyan ang vice president, nandyan yung mga official ng mga unions, in different organizations, na makiki-participate sa inyong goal or yung task to obtain yung objective namin sa project, no? Kaya medyo alam ko na excited sila, pero alam ko rin na nag-iisip din sila na ano ba ang pwede nilang i-contribute. Kasi there will come a time, maybe next year, sila naman yung mapili. Pinagbobotohan kasi namin eh.
One team, one spirit. Yun naman talagang union, di ba? Bagamat participative kasi ang union eh. Ang leadership sa union is participative siya. Lahat dapat meron. Papakinggan mo lahat. Kumbaga, di ba? Parang walang maling suggestion eh. All suggestions are welcome. Tsaka natin himayin. I-prioritize natin ano ba yung dapat unahin natin.
The leaders of the group were aware that in any undertaking, it is always about the struggle between aspiration and reality, between promises and accomplishments, between sincerity and lip service. They have foreseen obstacles along the way. There could be incidents that could dampen their days. And so, they decided among themselves to commit their time, effort, resources, and service to this campaign.
Nangako kami na magsasakripisyo kami at itutuloy namin ang aming adikain para na sa aming kapwa manggagawa sa publiko paggawa. May mga member kami na private sector, pero buong puso rin silang unwavering support ang binigay nila sa amin.
I mean, hindi mo na ngayon iniisip yung sarili mo. Kasi at that time, I was actually due for promotion sa office, but I did not accept it because of my advocacy nga, because of the trade union rights projects nga.
Ako, full support. My time, my effort, facing the consequences, fighting for yung mga obstacles na nasubukan na namin nagawa sa C-151.
We have solidarity with this issue. We are work as a family in this issue. Used to go with everywhere in the Philippines and work with our co-coordinator and our chairman for the success of this ratification.
Tawagan namin is doon sa grupo namin, hindi lang isang samahan ng ordinaryong samahan lang na mayroong advokasya. Biro tinuring na namin ang samahan namin bilang pamilya. Ang natatuwa lang ako ay lalong lumalakas yung pagkakaisa. Actually, ito yung mga pagkakaisa na dapat natin ituloy at hindi dapat bitawan. Hanggat sa tuluyang matamo natin ang tunay na advokasya at tunay na pagmamahal sa ating mga manggagawa sa publiko.
A big part of the group's success was due to their engagement not only with active and credible politicians, but also with ordinary but influential individuals. They also worked with the Office of the President, the Civil Service Commission, the Department of Budget and Management, the Department of Labor and Employment, the academe, consultants, and relevant groups within the public sector such as the youth, women, LGBT groups, and local government units. They befriended the staff in the above-mentioned offices who were willing to bend over backwards, did the legwork, arranged appointments, and helped in the various stages of the ratification processes.
I was documenting an ILO organization training. Bali, dun ko nakilala si Amor. Gusto nila na makapagsulong or makapagparatify ng isang ILO convention. So, doon ko unang nalaman yung advocacy nila and at the same time kung ano yung ILO 151. And from then on, they would invite me to trainings. They would also invite me to speak because they learned that I worked in the Senate for a long time. So, they wanted me to give them tips on strategies, how to talk, to write, to communicate to senators who are tasked by our Constitution to approve ILO Convention 151.
Indeed, information is power. The group started with zero knowledge of C-151. However, they sought to learn the provisions and implications of ratifying the convention. They invited people to do presentations, individuals who helped them popularize the convention, developed IEC materials, and most importantly, they went around the country and spread information about C-151.
Actually, I have a song composed with regards to this C-151.
Nagpagawa pa ng kanta ang grupo, Buklod Sulong, patungkol yan. Renehistro pa namin yan sa copyright na National Historical, something like that. Ikinumission namin dyan, pari pa. Napakagandang kanta.
Buklod, buklod nating isusulong, manggagawa ng bagong panahon.
Na-involve ako, especially kapag yung nagkakanda kami ng mga training sa labas. Kasi it's also one of the things na we wanted to educate also other workers. Para ma-impart namin sa kanila na ito yung karapatan nyo.
I was involved with the TUR in promoting the ILO 151. And during that time, we have seminars on informing the participants on what is ILO 151.
The group used the unconventional means of campaigning and following up, which is through the back door, literally and figuratively. There were times when they were at restricted chambers of Malacanang or at the offices of those friendly presidential staff where and when they were not supposed to be. They lobbied with the people who were directly attached to the former and current presidents. The group did a more brazen act. They went to Davao City, the hometown of President Duterte. They asked the president to sign the ratification approval. This is an unconventional strategy, one that others may not even dare to do, but they did. And it worked.
President Rodrigo Roa Duterte signed ILO 151 on May 26, 2017, making the first step towards Philippine ratification.
ILO Convention 151 was ratified by the Philippine government through its Senate on August 8, 2017. After a long drawn-out campaign by a group of dedicated PSI affiliates in the country. This is the first ratification for this particular convention by an Asian country. This convention applies to all persons employed by public authorities and offices to have rights to freedom of association and collective bargaining.
Kami sa private, we encourage to participate kasi nga nakita namin na malaki yung difference namin with the public sector and private sector. Kasi yung kami may full bargaining rights. The counterpart namin sa public sector is limited. Wala silang monetary bargaining na tinatawag, no? So sa amin, meron kaming full bargaining rights. We can go on strike.
With C-151 ratified and hopefully an enabling law enacted, public sector's unions can negotiate, like their private sector counterparts, a wide range of issues during collective bargaining, such as protection of fundamental rights at work, gender and parity issues, prevention of sexual harassment, family responsibilities, occupational safety and health, issues arising from transfer to another duty station or offices, management support for the union's daily operation, like an office space, can also be included. It became a movement because of the changes in attitude, devotion to union work, commitment and support for other workers outside their respective organizations, and willingness to sacrifice for a cause that was greater than themselves. The future of public sector unionism in the country as their purpose and goal.